Hey, Brandon Beliso here. I hope you're living your best life. It is Friday, March 31st. Can you believe it? We are 3 months complete. The first quarter is done in 2023. And this is Success Never Sleeps, where we as a collective, as human beings, as small business owners, as martial arts school owners, we're just trying to figure this thing out. And I've been talking to a lot of people of wealth lately, just asking them, what is it that you really need in life? And when I saw that Jim Carrey post that everybody should be as rich and famous as me, as he was at one point, right? He was like an A actor, 20 million a film, to realize that will not make you happy, right? 10 million views at social media will not make you happy because at the end of the day, when you're lying in bed by yourself after midnight, are you cool with who you are? Are you happy with who you are? So I mean, at any age, this has always been a big part of my journey, but even more so now. And as I work with clients all over the world, we have these deep conversations about that and that meaning of life. Just looking through the world as a whole, right? With the wars and the instability and everything going on, climate change, the whole thing, people are really assessing what is valuable to me, what is really valuable to me. And I don't believe it's money. I simply don't believe it's money. But make no mistake, right? Make no mistake. Money is a vehicle, and you need money in order to take care of your family, take care of your team, take care of your community, and there's a certain amount of money that I live on today, and it just trips me out because the money grows as you grow as a person. I know, right? But I do understand, and again, that's why you, the small school owner, are my purpose, my commitment, my passion. I think it's a crime that 90% of our industry is not making great money, right? It's much like the whole world is set up. What is it? 1% of the population make 99% of the wealth, something really disproportionate. Well, our industry is no different. And maybe that's just the way life is, right? Maybe we should just accept that. I think not. I think not. I think we can make headway. And if I can help every small school owner out there be able to own a home, be able to provide for their family vacation when they want, be able to pay a team member well. I think that's really important. That's good stuff, and it's important stuff. So as we temper growing financial wealth with growing personal wealth, growing emotional wealth, relationship wealth, time wealth, I like having freedom of time. The other day I decided I'm going to take myself on what's called an artist date. And we're going to go deep in that today. So hold that thought, right? Before I get off on tangents. Let's thank our sponsors. We have who? Tusa, Market Muscles, My Studio, Kids Love Life Skills, LC Accounting, all sponsors. They not only support the show, they will be supporting our event coming up on April 23rd in Boston, my only East Coast visit. I'm very excited to be coming out there for It's Time Live Boston. If you plan on coming, please get signed up. I want to get t-shirts ordered and get that done, right? As this show part 2, you are your best investment. And if you realize that, you will make that investment into yourself and come join us. It's going to be a small group. My events tend to be smaller, and they're by design because I love to get up close and personal and really impact people's lives. And what really taught me that on a grand scale, I used to sing. I think I sang to as many as 10,000 people. Just the other week, I did the Star Spangled Banner for 400 people. It's not about how many people you serve. It's about the impact you have, right? And when I'm able to see people like Team Martial Arts get up to 280 students, or Ralph in Switzerland get all the way up to 199 students, right? Or Abel Ucello, who I met when we were in the low 100s, and now he's up to 370. That type of impact to me is phenomenal, right? A gentleman just reached out to me that I've been helping for years. He wants to drive 4 hours just to have dinner with me, right? He can't make the Boston event, but he's willing to drive 4 hours just to have dinner with me. And I'm just in awe of that type of, I don't want to say recognition for the lack of the better word, but just for the love. I think it's really cool. So we will continue down this path. as disruptors, as new thinkers, as critical thinkers, and really express that. And as I've been sharing passionately and becoming a storyteller and knowing thyself, I'm encouraging everybody, write your own blogs. Learn what your message is and cultivate it. As we saw recently, all the big tech companies led by Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg are going, time's up, pencils down on this AI thing, right? There's too many variables. Can we chill for a minute and really think about what we're doing and how to best serve the world with it without, they were talking about the Teamsters Union and potentially 200,000 truckers will lose their jobs if we go fully autonomous with vehicles. How do you retrain a 55-year-old man that's been driving a truck for 30, 40 years? It's appalling, right? It's simply appalling. So I want you to be very mindful of that. And as I shared, I think a week ago, if you Google martial arts blog, my blog is at the top of the page. Now, I don't have 50,000 blogs, and I want to share that passionately. When I was standing on my little soapbox talking about, well, what would have happened if J.K. Rowling's, wrote Harry Potter through AI? Would we have the memorable characters like Harry, right, and Dumbledore and Ron and everybody else? No, we wouldn't have. She wrote those books, many of them while she was homeless in her car, homeless. Right. And you know what the guy who supports AI's response was? Well, she would have written 30 of those books. So it's not about quantity. It really is quality. Okay. Quality. It really is about quality. And I want to share that with you. I don't have a million blogs, but if you look, I have one of the top searched for rated martial arts blogs at Google because I produce original content. Please write that down because in this part 2 of You Are Your Best Investment, one of the best things for me in my life has been journaling, right? Getting my thoughts on paper. One of the best experiences for me in the process of self-discovery and investing in myself was going to John Corcoran and say, please teach me to be a writer, right? I wrote those 8-9 features for MA Success, which eventually culminated into John telling me to write my own book, which I did. I didn't use a ghostwriter. I can't tell you how many ghostwriters hit me up all the time telling me, hey, we'll write the book for you. Da, da, da. That doesn't sound right to me. That doesn't sound right to me at all, right? Nor will I use Chat GPT to write a book for me. So you writing your own book is one of the best investments you could make into yourself. Write that down. Write it down. Because as you get into the show today, going deeper down that rabbit hole of You Are Your Best Investment, we're all going to have to discover what is that medium for us? What is that tool for us? And why is it so important? Well, as a human being, I want to be the best version of myself. And I can't do that unless I invest in myself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. And for the small business owner, I cannot tell you how many school owners I work with that aren't mentally balanced. And I don't say that in a derogatory way, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually. They're unbalanced. They're depleted. They haven't invested in themselves. So they randomly go about life executing tasks or following somebody else or someone else's version of success, executing these tasks because they think that's what they're supposed to do. My question is why? Why do you want to be a martial arts school owner? Put it in the comments. Right. I didn't even think about that, my sister. My brother-in-law, Ben, is a lifelong truck driver. And they're talking about that, Tish, because the autonomous vehicles do really well. I mean, they're getting so good. I watched this video of Bill Gates in England, and I guess they have a new type of software to help support these autonomous cars. And they said to this thing, we want to go eat fish and chips. Told the freaking car, we want to go eat fish and chips. And through maps or whatever, highest rated Yelp fish and chips place, that was convenient. They didn't drive 10 million miles to get to this fish and chips place. This freaking car drove them, parked the car, and literally probably could have walked in and bought the fish and chips for them. It's scary. But the big thing with the truck drivers, it's less software needed because it's open road, right? Most of the time, a truck driver is running the same route on an interstate late at night, when the traffic's less. And so the autonomous performs even better, even better. So, yeah, people are concerned. They're deeply concerned, right? They said potentially we could be looking at a depression greater than the depression of the 20s because all these people will suddenly become unemployed. And how do you retrain somebody at 50 years old who's been driving a truck their whole life? So we need to put the brakes on it. And if you've got leaders in the tech industry like Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg going, time's up, pencils down, let's put a brake on this for a minute, I would be heeding that warning, right? So it's the same thing here in your martial arts business. I get it. You guys, right? You're young, you're hip, you're cool. What's the new app? Let's TikTok, Snapchat, throw the dog a bone, and call me a boomer, man. Say you're old, you don't get it. That's cool. That's fine. But I don't want convenience to simply take precedent over serving people really well, right? And we're always negotiating that space with my studio, right? How much of it should we automate? How much of it is infringing upon good customer service? Right? So we've even gone beyond customer service. What is customer success? Is it more empowering for you to be able to sit there at 10 at night and go into this app and book a week of camp, or have to wait during the next day while you're at work trying to squeeze it in during your lunch hour? Well, I think the app is great for that, right? So again, understanding that and knowing that is the big thing. And I can't help but believe if you don't make the investment into yourself, you'll simply follow anything that's new and shiny that comes along. So that's why I'm so passionate when you work with me and come to my events like It's Time Live Boston, that you know thyself, right? It's in that one clip. And I've been singing that song for a lifetime. And there's history there. Okay. And this is why. And please, nothing derogatory, but I do believe that many of us come to the martial arts as broken people. Right. Again, we're talking about investing in yourself. We come as broken people. We were bullied. We lack confidence. Right. I was the small kid who stuttered. Let's go on and on with that. We need a male role model in our life. Whatever that case may be, we don't come to the martial arts as a whole, healthy, balanced human being. At least the majority do not. Do not. Right. And then one day we're expected to have the skill set to run a business because we're going to take over our master school because he's retiring. We know nothing about business. Nothing. So there's a culmination of the two, is we're not developed as a person, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically. Because what the healing I've gotten is go way beyond the martial arts. Way beyond. I went into therapy for 5 years, right? I did things like I walked to Joshua Tree by myself in the desert, things that they tell you not to do, right? I stood in there and sat in a Zen center and stared at a white wall. I went to a Buddhist temple. I went to a synagogue. I went to a Catholic church. I went to a Christian church. I was on this mission to really invest in me, because the martial arts by itself did not fix that. So it's really important to recognize that. And I don't know what works for you. I simply do not. But I do know time and time again, school owners that I work with that are stuck at 100 students year in and year out, decade after decade, have no idea why they're stuck. They think it's because they need more digital marketing, more Facebook ads. And I say, nay. They think they need to buy someone's new and shiny program, right, and add it in. I say, nay. I say, first and foremost, you need to invest in yourself. Put it in the comments. Tell me what you feel. And this is a broadcast I'm going to ask you to watch again and again and again and again. Historically, that conflict due to technological transformation has been forestalled by an organizational cultural concept referred to as intrinsic, of knowledge. That translates as the value of people within an organization, because often ignored. It is. Who is this? This is brilliant, man. This is just brilliant stuff. But again, I believe the strategy should be a board of humanists need to come in and balance that and always ask that. Does it really help humanity or does it hurt it? Right? Just because, and again, some of it's egotistical, much like a martial arts school owner. I sit with some people and it's this pee-pee swinging contest. My pee-pee's bigger than yours. Well, my automation's faster than yours. My computer's faster than yours. We have more technology than you. It's that race, right? It's that race. And I think there really needs to be a balance there. Yeah, I love it, man. That's great. Marco, screenshot that for me. I want to repost that. Who is this? It says Facebook user. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Can we hold that, Marco? Cut and paste that and save that for me later. I would love to repurpose that. I hope you're okay with that. But I really love the comment. And that is, I mean, I leverage technology. Here we are, right? Here we are streaming live. Here I am. I got a phone. I bought a car through an app. The whole experience was through an app. Never in my lifetime. I control my car through a freaking app, right? It's a trip. It's a trip. So I understand the yin and the yang, but I'll say it straight up. Tesla has suck ass customer service. Suck ass. It's horrible. And I told them that, and it's the first time I ever had the person who I said sucked reached out to me personally. I go, what the hell? Are you entitled to? Right? These are surveys. They're supposed to be treated anonymously. I wanted to say, how dare you email me? What entitled bullshit is that? But I didn't. I just chilled and said, I need to get what I need done with Tesla. And that's a whole nother conversation. But so you see where I'm going with all this? Leveraging technology has dumbed people down. So you as an investing in yourself, I'm asking you to unplug from the matrix. I'm asking you to figure out for you why you're here. Why? That is your purpose. Because when I make decisions that have driven my businesses through the dot-com bust, 9/11, the mortgage crisis, a pandemic, and now the inflation and the recession that they're saying we're in or we're not in or we're potentially going to be in, I believe it's something we want to pay attention to, right? And don't let the small minority that's opening another school or opening another location, gloss that over. We need to be extremely mindful of that. And even bigger than that, the discussion is always going to be, what is the quality of life, right? Me and Letitia were talking about that today. And Paul McCoy, hey, thank you, sir. I appreciate you. I really do. Because it's got to be a balance. That's all I'm saying. I leverage technology to the hilt, but there's got to be a balance. And what's so freaking trippy about it, when you've got technology leaders, and I remember when Steve Jobs said that, I don't let my kids use technology or this or that. I went, what? Right? So you got to pay attention to that. And while we sit there as the younger generation think they're so damn intelligent because they can use an app better than me, the boomer, that's scary. One time my son had came to me and said, Papa, I'm smarter than you. I said, oh, well, tell me, 13-year-olds with a couple pubes there, buddy. Well, I have this. He held up his phone. I said, well, what happens if I disconnect that phone? How smart will you be? So you see that false sense of security that people have because they have a smartphone. And like Dalai Lama said, you don't need a smartphone to teach you you're smart. You don't need a Fitbit to teach you you're fit. Get away from that. So when you're investing in yourself, be mindful of that. Be mindful in that. I want you to write. So journaling is a big part of investing in yourself, okay? Journal. And don't do it through a phone. Me and Marco was discussing that when he was in Wisdom because he likes using his phone. And I don't. I enjoy. I mean, it's amazing how bad my penmanship has become over the years. I used to have amazing penmanship. And when I sit and concentrate, I write as well as I always did. But I'm amazed that out of convenience of just speaking into my phone, of doing those things, how poor my penmanship has become. Now, is that a metaphor for our mindset and everything else in critical thinking? Abso-freaking-lutely. Here's another example. I started playing this game with my daughter, Taya. It's called Word Hunt. And she kicks my butt every time. And then I look at the word she writes. One today was haft, Hafts. And I said to her, do you know what that means? And she said, no. The strategy is you just go like this on the Wordle and you look, and then you add an S at the end of any word you make. I went, wow, that's sad. So it's about winning. It's about getting the highest score in this thing called Word Hunt, not actually using an intelligent mind that knows how to spell words. You're guessing half the time. It's a strategy of just, connecting as many letters as you can in the 3 minutes it offers you to magically come up with words. That one today, NOES. What the hell is that? Right? I didn't know what it meant. And she didn't know what it meant, but she ran her fingers. So that's what I'm saying with technology. And when you come to invest in yourself, I want you to journal. That's one of my biggest recommendations. Okay. Start journaling and put pen to paper. The human experience of your hand moving, the neurological stimulation of your hand crafting words and writing sentences, which become paragraphs, and paragraphs that become stories. They really are going to help you know thyself and help you discover the better version of yourself today. It truly will. And I also am going to encourage you to write a book. Write a book. Hey, I see a lot of people coming in there. Please do me a big favor. As you're coming in, say hello. Don't sit in the cloud. And that trips me out too when somebody connects with me and says, I've been following you for years. And I'm going, why didn't you ever say hi or connect with me? They go, well, I don't know. Wow, is that what technology's done? We sit there, in the ethernet of technology. We're not willing to say hello to somebody but yet we'll follow them year after year, watching their stuff. That trips me out. The other day somebody reached out to me and I promptly hit him up at Facebook and called him. He was like, wow, you called me. Yeah. Isn't that what human beings do? Don't we connect with one another? Right? Right? Conrad, I wrote a book. Yeah, right, Conrad? It was a great exercise in thought. Yeah. Hello from Belgium. Who is this from Belgium? Who's tuning in from Belgium? Quick thing on Belgium. My older son's grandmother was from Belgium, Liège. She was from Liège, and she was the first one to teach me to eat French fries with mayonnaise. It is so awesome. It is so freaking awesome. Do you eat French fries with mayonnaise in Belgium? Put that in there. Mish. Hey, professor. Late to the show. What's happened, Mish? How's it going, sir? Tell me who's tuning in from Belgium. So I want you to journal. And here's a big one, right? Conrad knows it. I know it. Write a book. Write a book. And what really helped me, Robbie in Belgium. Hey, Robbie. So there's a book called The Mindset by Carol Dweck. I would really ask you to read that book, The Mindset by Carol Dweck. I find managing your mindset is one of the biggest things that a school owner, a small business person needs to manage on a daily basis, right? I was talking to two of my wisdom clients yesterday, and I said, hey, you're moving from a worker bee mindset to small business owner to an entrepreneurial mindset. Other than the government, nobody tells you what to do. So every day you wake up, you make it or break it. Hey, Don O'Neill, what's happening? Success Martial Arts. Robbie, do you own a school out there in Belgium? And if you don't, that's cool. But I'm grateful you're here. Man, I feel honored all the way from Belgium. Someone's hanging with us. And as you come in, and everybody, please say hi. Don't sit back there, man. Connect with me. I want to know your name. I want to know where you're tuning in from. And I want to connect. Everything's about relationships with me. And so, with that said, Carol Dweck says in her book, The Mindset, that she was talking to a client in one of the chapters, and the client's going, well, if I write this book, what if nobody reads it? She said, even if one person reads it and gets something out of it, you have done the good work, right? Fundamentally. And I'm going to challenge you to do the same thing here. Write the book because it's one of the best investments you can make in yourself. It could be fictional, non-fictional, I don't care. But I'm encouraging everybody because that process of self-discovery for me was kind of like an autobiography. It was one of the most cathartic, healing experiences of my life. And when I was done writing the book, not only the sense of accomplishment, but the evolution to bringing Brandon from somebody that still lived with a lot of demons and old bad habits and things like that. It brought Brandon, it brought me into today, into now to reach my full potential. Phenomenal. Just one of the most phenomenal things I've ever done. So writing a book is something I'm highly going to recommend. And read The Mindset by Carol Dweck. Okay. One of the things I asked you last week to do was to, come up with what's some of the best investments you've made in yourself. If anybody wants to come onto the show, DM Marco or put it here, Marco, right? Put it in Marco. And we'll get you on the show right now. We'll bring you on. And you can one investment, 3 minutes. That's it. Okay. All right, Robbie, you have a small school in Belgium, but your dream is to make it successful. And you can, sir. Again, talking to a school owner yesterday, not a school owner yet. He's an instructor working 40 hours a week for somebody else, and he wants to open his own school. And I shared my story. When I opened my school in 2000, at the time, I was renting a room in my sister's home. And God rest her soul, she's gone now. So I was renting a room at about $300 a month or $500 a month. I was driving an $800 Honda Hoopty, piece of crap, but it got me around. I was teaching at 3 martial arts schools. I was teaching my version of Taibo, and I was developing my children's programs at my instructor school, Rick Alamany. I was also teaching at 3 different health clubs, and I was teaching at the Park and Rec. So to make a living, I had to do a class here, a class there, and that's what was going on. But I was honing my craft for the different programs I wanted to cultivate. Lo and behold, I had the opportunity to open my own school. I did it with $40,000 of people's money that was not mine. $10,000 from one friend, 3,000 from another. I think somebody even donated 1,000. And we created a company and they had K1s. I bought them out after 3 years. That was a done deal. They all made a little money and we called it a day. But 40,000 of somebody else's money, and my sister, again, God rest her soul, she co-signed the lease for me because I didn't even qualify to sign for the lease on this building I wanted to rent. But my commitment to what I wanted to do was clear. So I did what it took. But I share that story because I was 38 years old, folks. I'm pretty much broke. I was just, I blew through all my money when I was that I made being a pop star in Asia. I came back here and wanted to play rock star and it didn't happen because nobody knew who I was here, right? And I was still trying to live that lifestyle. So there I was. But I'm sharing with you, if I could do it at 38, you can do it in Belgium, sir. You really, really can. You can do it. You can do it. I did it. But see, I was committed to that, right? And that's what I talk about, investing in yourself. If you believe in yourself, you believe in your dream. You have to believe in it more than anybody because people, including people closest to you, will shoot you down because they're not you. They don't understand that, especially when it comes to wanting to be a small business owner, especially when it comes to wanting to be an entrepreneur. Right? Because they're workers. They work a 9 to 5. They go home. They got a paycheck, the 401k, all that stuff. So that's what they're conditioned to believe. So then we hear you talking about wanting to be a small business owner, an entrepreneur. It is so foreign. So don't expect support sometimes from the people closest to you. That's why investing in yourself, knowing who you are, you're going to need that type of gumption. You're going to need that type of confidence on the days, potentially your own wife who works a 9 to 5 and is nice and secure looks at you and go, "You're freaking nuts. What are you doing? Get a day job," right? And that's okay. That's okay because if you know who you are, you have a deep sense of empathy for other people and the way they think. That's been one of my biggest evolutions is really coming to terms with I know who I am and I'm confident in who I am. So to be empathetic and not take things personally, from other people, to embrace my own failures as little tidbits of learning experience that lead to success, all of that has been huge in my personal evolution. And that's for me is very powerful. Very, very powerful. Cool. So if you got one of your investments you want to pop on the show really quick, feel free. Okay, feel free. Let's see. I'm missing a couple of messages here, Marco. What's being said here? Education, MBA, and not PhD in organizational leadership. Awesome. My daughter, another owner, cool, is getting a PhD in sports psychology. Best investment recently with money. Very good. Cool. Right on. I mean, those types of investments, when you grow your school, will only give you an authority, right? You have a PhD, right? Your daughter has that PhD. All that is super powerful. And what I would encourage you to do, and I know this is a little we're kind of sidebarring here. If you position your school as an investment for parents, they'll look at you more than just a sport, right? I know that's really big in Europe, right? That's why they use words like, were sports. They call it sports. In Germany, that's big, right? It's not only Kampfschule, it's sports something, right? And all my clients, I really encourage them to position themselves differently. So we don't use words like membership. We don't use words like coaches. We use words like teacher. We use words like tuition investment. So again, creating a culture within the school you're trying to build there in Belgium, as we are a educational institute of learning and of higher learning. So make it very rich in life skills. Maybe he should reach out to Marco. Reach out to Marco. We have a great program called Kids Love Life Skills, which is used all over the world now. And it's powerful. You can talk to Ralph Hodel, Hodl. He is excellent martial arts in Sweden. I always say Sweden or Switzerland, but he's out there too. You might want to talk to him. Andre Mavis, Believe Martial Arts in Berlin. He's another one who uses Kids Love Life Skills. Very powerful stuff. Really good for you. Cool. All right. So another thing I recommend, there's a great book called The Artist Way by Julia Cameron. Put that in there, Marco. Maybe you can find the link. In making my best investment in myself, at one point, this book became like my Bible. And not to, please, I don't mean to be derogatory. I'm a Christian, so I'm just using it metaphorically. For a while, it was my Bible. And The Artist's Way is really about that. Every one of us are an artist, right? It's not by coincidence. Marco, who owns Focus Martial Arts, also draws really well. He loves graphic arts. Me too. I'm the same way, right? When I was a child, I won an art scholarship to a major museum. So we are artists. We are martial artists, right? Mish likes to craft things. So, I mean, we're artists. So this is a wonderful, wonderful book. I'm going to encourage everybody to read The Artist Way by Julia Cameron. Okay? Find that for everybody, Marco. The Artist Way by Julia Cameron. And the thing cool about that, one of the things they recommend, and when I did this the other day, it really brought it home. I take a lot of me time for myself. I'm very strategic. Every week, I get a massage. Every week, I go to physical therapy, physiotherapy. So I have this time to myself, but my wife and kids are in Las Vegas. They went on a mom and kids trip with some other moms and kids. So the other day, I took myself to lunch and I took myself to a movie. Now, something I haven't done in a long, 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 long time. Long, 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 long time. Because I have a wife and kids and we go to lunch together or, whatever. And so, with that said, I want to share that with you. Somebody reached out to me after I posted that I went and saw John Wick, and I was alone. They go, "Ugh, how can you go to the movies by yourself?" Wow. I said, "What do you mean?" And they went on to share, "Well, isn't it kind of weird going in a movie theater by yourself?" I said, "What's weird about that?" Well, and they went on to elaborate. So in their own psyche, in their own mind, they said, "Well, if I went to a movie by myself, I would think people thought I was a loser. I can't even get anyone to go to the movies with me. Wow." Or if and you ate in the restaurant by yourself, won't people feel sorry for you that you don't even have someone to eat lunch with you? I went, "No, I never thought of it that way. I never did." It just reminded me when I was out there on this artist date, as I call it, as Julia Cameron talks about, this artist date allowed me to be with myself in an element I'm not normally in. So when you read this book, The Artist's Way, one of the most significant takeaways for me is the artist date. So I'm going to encourage you in investing in yourself. Take yourself on a date every week. Every week. But I want you to do something that you don't normally do. And why do I want you to go alone? Anybody tell me why? Put it in the comments. Why do I want you to go alone? Go ahead. Why do I want you to go alone? Sensei Mish, listen to him. The only thing creepy about going to the movies by yourself is if you go watch a kid's movie. People are going to think you're kind of weird. Yeah, probably so. Probably so, Mish. But What if you were big on cartoons? I know full-grown adults that love cartoons. I don't know. I don't know. You're right. I hear what you're saying, right? People are gonna go, look at that full-grown person there, without kids. Sure, but this was John Wick 4, so I don't think it's the same thing. But if I really felt the inclination, I wanted to see this kids movie, and I was alone, I would go. I would have no challenge with that. None, none. Because again, you're developing your id, who you are, based upon people's perception of you. So are you really being true to yourself? Are you really being you? Right? So that's super important in that process. So I want you to take yourself on an artist date every week. I've pretty much done that my whole life for the past 30, 40 years. You just left the building. That's so cool. Yeah. Yeah. That comfort zone, right? That comfort zone. That comfort zone. Right. You do, Conrad. The biggest thing why I want you to go on the artist date alone, because it's just you and your own thoughts, man. It's you and your own emotions. And when you're doing something that might not be normal, like I went skydiving, bungee jumping, zip lining. I've done a number of things. And the skydiving, my wife went with me, but I was alone when I went up in the plane, right? She was pregnant or something at the time. I don't know what that was. I did it for my birthday, but I've done a lot of things alone. Joshua Tree was one of them. I walked the desert alone. And I remember venturing out of the parking lot. Every sign said, please do not walk alone. Please do not walk alone. I needed to walk alone to discover myself, right? Now, I'm not going to go in a really bad neighborhood at 3 a.m. wearing a Rolex watch, going, I have a Rolex, I have a Rolex. That's just silly. But I was confident because I knew enough about myself. I follow the sun in, the sun sets in the west, my car is in the west. I follow the sun back to my car. So it wasn't like that, but the walk in the desert by myself was extremely, extremely enlightening, right? I did a silent retreat one time and I was in silence for a couple of days. That's extremely, again, very uncomfortable, extremely uncomfortable, but magical, magical. So, yeah, the artist date is something I encourage you to do on your own. And I remember my first artist date, I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I don't know how old I was when I started that book. I took some sushi and I got a sketchbook and a pencil. And I went to the bandstand in Golden Gate Park. And it's a beautiful bandstand. And I sat there and I ate my sushi, right? My favorite little sushi there. And then I went into the De Young Museum. Now, why this was very significant, stay with me. I had earned an art scholarship in second grade to the De Young Museum. And I did, and I can't make this up. I took a piece of black construction paper and I did a complete yarn boat. You take yarn and you put glue on it and then you cut and you made a yarn boat. I won a scholarship and I had gone to one class and it was we had to take the bus. We lived way in the Mission, so it was like an hour bus ride. And I took one class and then my dad said, no, you can't do this anymore. Right. And he pertained to pretty much that sissies do art like that. But it was just inconvenience for him that he didn't want to do it. Right. He didn't want to do it. So I needed to return to this place and I needed to be in the De Young Museum, but as a new person, as a different person, as a person who's in control of their life. And I sat there and I drew for hours. I just went to one part of the museum and looked at something I liked and I drew it. Then I went to another place and I did this for hours. And the empowerment I felt in that moment of, wow, I've really come into my own. I wasn't that little kid who got a taste. And I remember it was a clay class. I sat at one of those spinning wheels, making a cup or something. It was the most magical thing in second grade, right? I won an art scholarship. I'm a kid from the ghetto on welfare and food stamps. I'm freaking here. I'm freaking here, right? And so sitting there in the Young Museum drawing was just phenomenal. Phenomenal. So see where I'm going with this? By putting yourself in uncomfortable, unknown situations, it might release some other things. Okay. So the artist date, put it down. Make sure you do that. Your feed keeps coming and going. I don't know. Well, that's probably because you're in Belgium. Yeah. Is anyone else's feed going in and out, Conrad? Marco, are we going in and out? It could be possibly because you're tuning in all the way from Belgium. Anyone else coming in and out, or have you been with me the whole time? Anybody? Anybody? All good here, Conrad. Yeah, so it must be in Belgium. Oh, who's here now? Somebody said, sorry, I'm late. But after Robbie from Belgium, we're going to post this at our YouTube channel and you can watch it there. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel, Robbie. And I feel really good all the way from Belgium. That's so kind. All right, so here's the other reason. One of the things I got into a couple of years ago was physiotherapy, and it's kind of like yoga slash chiropractor slash a lot of stuff. Fundamentally, the body pronates over the years. So this is all twist. You know what I liken it to? You ever take a chicken wing and do this? That's what I freaking feel like when I get worked on by my guy Sean. Now, this isn't my massage. This is something else that I do. Now, one of the things that happened to me growing up as a kid because of the martial arts, I've broken probably 8 out of 10 toes. And this is a fact. Sometimes they're numb and they tingle and different things. But the big thing about that was I was afraid to tell my father anytime I got hurt because he would get pissed off because we didn't have medical insurance, right? Because he had left, that's another story, but we didn't have medical insurance. And he was too proud to go get Medi-Cal, which was what if you were on welfare. So we would go without. And I'd broken 8 to 10 of my, I know at least 8 of them. And so, of course, you need to get your toes reset. Mine were never reset. So not only did I not go to the doctor and get them reset properly, I continued to walk and train and do martial arts on it. Because that's that old the old school days, right? You get hurt, walk it off. Walk it off. What the hell is that, right? Just walk it off, right? Everybody remember that? And so this guy works on my toes to break up the scar tissue and to try to straighten them out so they're back in alignment. And I'm going to tell you, it's probably one of the most excruciating, painful things I've ever felt. You know what it's like to stretch out your toes and twist them and reposition them and try to get them back the way they're supposed to be, that they've been that way for 30, 40 years? Brutal, right? But here's why this becomes very significant and why I encourage you to explore to figure out what works for you. Now, the big, how does this get me 10 more students? It absolutely will, because you as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, make these crucial decisions day in and day out. And how many of us had made huge bonehead moves that cost us a lot of money because we're unbalanced human beings who've read a lot of freaking books, but you're not in tune with yourself. And I don't mean an insecure, narcissistic in tune with yourself, where you're insecure and making egotistical decisions or emotional decisions for your business. No freaking way. Very logical, calculated decisions. And I'm very proud. I've made a couple really good ones lately because I remove emotion, I remove opinion, I remove all of that. Okay. So going back to this story. So one day, because he's been on my feet for a couple months now, he's in there just tearing me up. Just, I mean, I'm getting torn up, right? And I get to this point where suddenly all these images start flashing. And when he's pulling on one toe, I could remember breaking that toe on somebody's coming down and elbowing me as I'm throwing a front kick, and he broke my toe, right? I could remember another time. And these it was like the opening of a Marvel movie. When they're going through all those slides, all the different pictures of the characters, the animated characters, it was like one of those scenes. And I'm going through all these different training sessions as a 9, 10, 11, 14, 15, 16-year-old kid. All the different times I broke my toes, I could vividly see them. And I was somewhere between crying and laughing because it was so painful. But these flood of memories came in. But really, what stuck with me, and I'm being very personal, and I got to do this, okay? Because this is part of my investing in me. I remember sitting there in pain and knowing something's wrong with my feet, but being so afraid to tell my father my foot is broke. Right? And I share this story all the time. I'd cut this finger here really bad, right? And you can see it compared to the other one. And I told my father, and you could see it. I mean, at the time this finger was cut open, I could see the little joint, the little balls. I guess there's a little ball of muscle that connects the joint, and I could see the damn things, right? And he had to teach class and do a bunch of stuff. He did not take me to the doctors until 8 hours later. And we walked into emergency at St. Luke's. I remember this vividly. And he was pissed at me because it was inconvenient. And the doctor, first thing he said, by the way, this thing is, the blood is dried and everything's here. This happened at least 12 to 15 hours ago. Why didn't you bring him in then? Whoa. See? So I'm telling you, man, this is the life I led. And so to go through that type of physiotherapy on my toes and to have that, whom that investment in myself brought me to another level of consciousness. And will that help you make better decisions in your business? Abso-freaking-lutely. Absolutely. You know, Letitia and I had a very heartfelt conversation this morning, and we came and we made some really good decisions about our business. And I was very proud of myself when I got off the phone because they were very mature decisions based upon real time, based upon vision work of where we want our company to be in the next 3 to 5 years, with a very confident positioning of where it's going to be today and what that means. It was powerful. It was powerful. But did the old tapes play through my head for a couple of hours? They did. They did, but they were quickly rectified with the current, new, and improved real-time Brandon today. So I'm sharing that with you because you're going to need this in your business with whatever comes next: a recession, inflation, somebody quitting, somebody dying, you going through physical illness, whatever that case may be. You as a small business owner do not have the luxury of going, hey, I'm taking a sabbatical, or hey, I'm doing this. You have no luxury. You are in the pocket. I worked the day after my sister died. I worked the day after my son was born. You know, I've had to because it's my business, but to do so and grow through being uncomfortable in those times. You know, the story I share all the time: the day after my sister died, I'm standing behind the door, putting on my uniform, crying like a baby, knowing I need to get on that floor because if I don't, because I was the only instructor, I could lose students that I couldn't afford to lose. You with me? So that's why I'm so passionate about you investing in yourself, and is why I am so passionate about when you work with me, whether it's at my events, that you make that investment in yourself. Ask anybody who's here that's came to my event. You know, we do work on systems. We do work on staff development. We do work on your brand. We work on all the things it takes to be a great small business owner. But that personal development part is what I think is the je ne sais quoi. It is the thing that separates our events from anything else going on out there. We cry, we laugh, we develop lifelong relationships. Conrad, I've known for years now. We started out in Cozumel together, right? We had this amazing conversation back then. I'll never forget it, Conrad. And it culminated to him coming out to It's Time with his daughter, Raven. Who does that? And he had reached out and asked me, can I bring Raven? I said, abso-freaking-lutely. And it was a memorable experience. And to this day, I watch Raven growing up into this strong young woman. Now she's driving a car and she's just cheerleading. See, it's so much more. It's so much more. And that's what makes the quality of life. That is the quality of life, right? The deep conversation with Mish and everybody sitting there when he brought his wife, and that last It's Time. Powerful stuff. Me and Marco have had many, many conversations. Jason, right? I mean, it's life, and we want to go through life with amazing quality people. And we make those investments through hell and high water. We stand together, and we need that united front in the martial arts industry. It's not there. It's very segregated. It's very separate. There are organizations and this, and my kung fu's better than your karate, on and on and on. So I'm an advocate for that, but we are the outliers. And if you make that investment in yourself, you're okay standing alone, is what I'm trying to share. So please, I'm going to ask you, make that investment in yourself. Go on that journey of self-discovery and figure out who you are. And we who are parents and small business owners, what the heck? What kind of choice is that? It's hard, right? But I was talking to a dad about that yesterday, and we almost romanticize it. We're almost like martyrs, right? We romanticize the sacrifice we make for our family. We sacrifice our health and do not work out because we do it for our family. No, no, no. No, no, no. You need to do all of it if you're going to succeed in your small business and be a good parent and be a good partner and be a good leader. And that's it. You've chosen one of the most difficult things to do. And if you're not right, nothing is going to be right. So make that commitment right now. Put it in the comments if you're not already doing so, right? Nothing will work. Make that commitment today. Put it in the comments that you are going to go on this journey of self-discovery, and you're going to do it without apologies. And that was one of the biggest things. Again, I've got so many things. When I teach, I learn. The one thing all the people at the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation I taught at a couple weeks ago said, you make no apologies for yourself. No, I don't. No, I don't. I spent a lifetime apologizing for being abused, for being molested, for being poor, for being in a foster home. I made tons of excuses for that, and apologies. I will not apologize for being the best version of me. I will not apologize for working hard for my family and team and giving back to my community. I will not apologize for standing up for you, the small school owner, right? Instead of regurgitating content from the 1980s because it's safe and you're not, invested in yourself to even know that they're regurgitating the same thing and feeding it to you from the 1980s. They are. Other than technology and maybe with the advent of UFC and jiu-jitsu, there's nothing that been new in our industry because no one's willing to take a chance. No one's willing to stand alone, be the outlier, and make a million mistakes because there's no data. I got my data from Apple and Disney and other companies and brought it into my business model. That's where I got my information. I never got it from the industry. And that's why here we are. I looked at our stats today, Tish. I mean, you'll be really proud. Last year, we did $1.85 million between two locations. First quarter of this year, between the two locations, we're on a path to do $2.1 million. Good for us, right? But again, those KPIs are important. All right. So, everybody who's on the East Coast, or somebody on the East Coast, I'm going to challenge you. I want you to reach out to them personally and tell them they need to be at It's Time Live Boston. Marco said, it's been a bunch of years. And he says, I don't think a lot of people know who you are anymore on the East Coast. And he's right, because I chose to move away from that type of spotlight. I no longer have the support of big organizations because I choose to go down the path a lot of consultants won't go down. I work with the small school owner strictly, and that's my forte. That's where I'm at. So I want you to reach out and let's get people at It's Time Live Boston. Let's increase the movement. Yep, Jason, we have had a 30% increase this quarter from the quarter last year. 30% increase is huge for any business. And Jason, again, is somebody you should talk to who's a smart man. Saw me at the Super Show. I think he came to Harvard. We had dinner. He saw me speak at Harvard, came to It's Time Live for a 2-day experience, came back for the 4-day experience, did my 8-month It's Time mentoring program, and then he invested into wisdom. Smart man, because you don't just sit there and hop in feet first and spend all this money on some consultant that's selling you pipe dreams. That's smart. And that's why your business is now doing what it does, right? Doing what it does. Stay with me, folks. So come on. What questions do you have? Put your questions in the comment. I want them now. Give me your questions, please. Give them to me. Put them in. Yeah, our walk and talk around Harvard. See, but those things we'll never forget, right, Jason? We'll never forget. We'll never forget. We'll never forget. We'll never forget. Right. And that's really because I can't just work with somebody for money. That will never happen. I simply don't. And that's my quality of life. I love the relationship we have, Jason. I love the relationship we have, Marco. I love the relationship I have with Mish. I love it with Conrad, everybody else. And it's like good friends, right? Conrad can reach out anytime and we're just, boom, picking up where we left off. But it all began with a single conversation in Cozumel at a very challenging time in his life, right? When he's trying to figure it all out. And I was influential in his rebrand to respect martial arts. I love it. I just, and this is what makes life amazing while there's a war going on in Ukraine, while former presidents indicted, while we're looking at climate change, while we're looking at, school shootings and all the rest. This is what life builds hope, builds the endless possibilities, is what we're doing together. So reach out to everybody on the East Coast. I want you to help me get people at It's Time Live Boston. Make that commitment. Find one person in that area and tell them this is where you need to be, right? Do that. So let's thank our sponsors today. Today was deep, man. This was one of the most, for me, it was like a therapy session in many ways. But I hope you get where I'm going with this. I hope through my vulnerability and my transparency that you will be inspired to discover for you and go on your own path, because you are your best investment. Make no mistake, you are your best investment. Okay. Yeah. Thank you to Sa, Gunny and the gang. I appreciate you and your family. Market Muscle, Stephen Reinstein and the gang. My studio, Lynette, too. Kids Love Life Skills, Marco, Amy, Chris, Ben, Tisha, the kids, everybody, myself, everyone that creates Kids Love Life Skills and make it what it is. You need it. You need some life skills, man. And I'm proud of what the work we're doing. LC Accounting, when I get off the phone with my sister like today, I'm mindful of why. I'm blessed to have Letitia in my life and working together as we do through the challenges we go through as people, but as a family as well. All right. So again, where are you going to be? April 23rd. It's Time Live Boston. The link's there. Get signed up. Tell a friend. Spend one day. Come the day before. Marco has his grand opening for Focus Martial Arts. You can see what we've put together. We've really strategized. He's going to have an amazing grand opening. The mayor's cutting the ribbon. Yay. He's got the cannoli truck. I want the cannoli. A lot of activities planned. I'm there to support him. In whatever way Marco needs. I told him, you want me to run a game? You want me to man the cotton candy machine? I'm there to back you up, sir. That's what that's all about. And then Sunday, we'll continue it in his school for It's Time Live Boston. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be such a good day. And because I am on the East Coast, if you want, after we finish the whole event, if anyone wants to share dinner together, we'll do that too. That's something we've never been able to do. But since I'm there, I don't go home till Monday. We can do that as well. So we'll figure that out. So get signed up for It's Time Live Boston. Tell a friend. So thank you. Thank you for being here today. This is one of the more heartfelt moments in my life with this show. It reminds me why I made the conscious decision to become the advocate for the small school owner, to lead a disruptive thinking to better our industry with new concepts, with new ways of doing business that aren't of the norm, there is no box, just unlimited potential. And today is one of the reasons why I am reminded deeply why I've chosen to do what I do. Cool. Thank you, Marco, for holding down the fort there and making things happen technically on the back end. Thank you, everybody who chose to share their valuable time with us. Robbie from Belgium, go back and watch this without any technical difficulties. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my podcast, Success Never Sleeps and Mindful Meditations. Follow me at Instagram. Become part of our Disruptor Facebook group. For everything else, go to brandonbeliso.com. Until we speak again, please, you go out there, live your best life.